Hello, lovelies, and welcome back to Cappuccinos Confidence with Nefe. I'm Nefe, your confidence coach, and this is a space where we have honest conversations about confidence, self-trust, personal growth, and becoming the woman you know you're capable of being. So, grab your coffee, tea, water, or whatever you're sipping today, and let us settle in. Today, we're talking about time management when life feels full. Not just busy, but full. The kind of full where your work is demanding, your personal life needs attention, your home keeps producing jobs, people need things from you, and your own goals are quietly waiting somewhere in the background. You may have a diary, a planner, a calendar app, and several to-do lists, yet somehow you still feel as though you're constantly running out of time. Perhaps you've tried waking up earlier. You've downloaded another productivity app, watched videos about time blocking, and promised yourself that next week you will finally become more organized. However, the real problem may not be that you're bad at managing your time. The problem may be that you're trying to fit in more into your week than one human can realistically hold. Today's episode is about time management when life feels full, so you can stop trying to fit everything in. I want to begin with a woman called Amara. Amara is ambitious, caring, and capable. She takes pride in being dependable, and she genuinely wants to show up well in every area of her life. At work, she has an important deadline coming up. She wants to do a good job because she's hoping to be considered for a promotion later in the year. Her friend is going through a difficult time, so Amara has promised to call her after work. Her mum needs help arranging an appointment. Her partner will like them to have some proper time together. Her home needs cleaning. The food shopping needs to be done, and there is a pile of laundry that appears to be reproducing when nobody is looking. Amara is also trying to take better care of herself. She wants to exercise 3 times this week, cook healthier meals, restart her morning routine, and finally book the health appointment she has been postponing. On top of that, she has a personal project she really cares about. She's been telling herself for months that she wants to work on it consistently. Every one of these things matters. That is the problem. On Sunday evening, Amara sits down with her planner and tries to fit everything into the week. She adds her work meetings first, then she schedules 3 gym sessions, 2 evenings for her personal project, a phone call with her friend, dinner with her partner, time to help her mum, food shopping, meal preparation, laundry, cleaning, and a long list of smaller errands. She also leaves herself several tasks to complete before and after work. By the time she finishes planning, nearly every hour of the week has been assigned a job. The calendar looks organized. It also looks exhausting. Amara feels pleased for a moment because everything has a place. However, Monday morning starts with an urgent request from her manager. A meeting runs over, so she misses the lunchtime walk she plans. Her journey home takes longer than expected, and by the time she arrives, she is tired. She cancels the gym session and feels guilty. On Tuesday, her mum calls with a problem that needs more time than expected. On Wednesday, Amara's works late to catch up. By Thursday, the personal project has disappeared from the calendar. The laundry is still waiting, and she has not had a proper evening to herself. By Friday, she looks at the week and thinks, I need to manage my time better. But does she? Or did she create a 7-day plan for a 14-day life? Perhaps you recognize yourself in Amara. You are not wasting your time. You are not sitting around doing nothing. In fact, you may be using almost every available hour. Yet, you still feel behind because there is more on your list than your life currently has room to hold. In this episode, we're going to explore 5 ideas that can help when life feels full. And they are: understand your real capacity, becoming honest about what your calendar can hold, recognizing the season of life you're in, creating boundaries around your time, leaving breathing room for life to happen. Because time management is not only about fitting things in, sometimes it is about deciding what cannot fit right now. Part 1. Start with capacity, not the calendar. The first mistake Amara makes in planning from the calendar rather than from her capacity. She looks at each empty space and assumes it is available. There is an empty hour before work, so she schedules exercise. There are 2 hours after dinner, so she schedules her personal project. Saturday afternoon looks open, so she fills it with errands and household tasks. On paper, the time exists. However, available time and available capacity are not the same thing. An empty hour in your diary does not automatically mean you have the physical, emotional, or mental energy to use that hour productively. You may technically have 2 hours after work, but those 2 hours come after commuting, meetings, decisions, conversations, and several hours of concentration. The time is there, your energy may not be. This is where many plans become unrealistic. We calculate what can fit mathematically, but we do not consider what we can hold humanly. Amara sees that she has 7 evenings in a week. Therefore, she assumes she can use several of them for exercise, relationships, family support, home responsibilities, and her personal projects. However, she has not accounted for recovery. She has not considered that some evenings will need to remain quiet because she's already spent the day giving her attention to other people. She's also not allowed for the emotional cost of certain tasks. A 30-minute phone call with a friend who is struggling may only take 30 minutes on the calendar. Nevertheless, it may require much more emotional energy than 30 minutes of folding laundry. A difficult meeting may last 1 hour, but its effect may follow you for the rest of the afternoon. Capacity includes more than time. It includes your energy, concentration, health, emotions, and ability to respond to the unexpected. Before planning your week, ask yourself, what do I realistically have the capacity for right now? Not what could the most energetic, motivated, and perfectly organized version of you do. What can the real version of you manage in the life you are actually living? This question can feel uncomfortable because the honest answer may be less than what you want it to be. You may want to work full-time, exercise 5 times a week, maintain a spotless home, support everyone, build a business, attend social events, and still have plenty of time for rest. Wanting all of those things does not mean you have the capacity to prioritize them all at once. Your capacity is not a moral judgment, it is simply information. You do not become less capable because your current capacity is limited. You become more effective when you stop pretending your limits do not exist. Part 2. Practice calendar honesty. Once Amara begins thinking about capacity, she looks at her calendar differently. Previously, she treated every blank space as unused time. Now, she begins to recognize that some of that space needs to stay blank. Calendar honesty means seeing the difference between the time you wish you had and the time that is genuinely available. It also means being honest about how long things actually take. Amara often schedules food shopping as a 1-hour task. However, that hour does not include travelling to the shop, putting everything away, or standing in the kitchen wondering why she bought 3 types of cheese but forgot washing up liquid. She schedules a gym session for 45 minutes but forgets the time she needed to change, travel, and shower afterwards. She writes, prepare presentation in a 1-hour block, even though previous presentations have taken her 3 hours. When tasks repeatedly take longer than expected, the problem may not be that you're too slow. The estimate may be dishonest. A realistic calendar includes the whole task, not only its most visible part. It includes preparation, travel, transitions, recovery, and the smaller steps that surround the task. Calendar honesty also requires you to recognize your fixed commitments. Begin with the things that actually cannot easily be moved, such as work appointments, caring responsibilities, and essential travel. Then add things that support your well-being, including meals, sleep, rest, and time to prepare for the next day. Only after that should you look at what space remains for everything else. Many of us do the opposite. We schedule our work and ambitions first, then we try to squeeze eating, resting, and recovering into whatever gaps remain. By the end of the week, our own needs are competing for leftover time. You deserve more than leftovers of your calendar. Your well-being is not an inconvenience that needs to be fitted around everything more important. Amara starts adding realistic transition time. She leaves space after difficult meetings and stops scheduling something immediately after every commitment. She also limits how many demanding things she expects herself to do in one day. Instead of planning a full workday, a gym session, a difficult family conversation, and 2 hours on her personal project, she chooses one main commitment for the evening. This does not mean that the other things do not matter. It simply means they cannot all occupy the same space. Calendar honesty may involve saying, I have time for this, but I do not have the energy. I can fit this in, but doing so will leave no room to recover. This task matters, but it does not have to happen this week. I need to reduce the plan rather than keep asking myself to move faster. An honest calendar is not always impressive. However, it is much more likely to work. Point 3. Respect the season you are in. Another reason Amara feels behind is that she expects every area of her life to receive equal attention every week. She wants to progress at work, improve her health, nurture her relationships, care for her family, maintain her home, and build her personal projects at the same time. These are all meaningful priorities. However, life does not always allow us to pursue every priority with the same intensity. There are seasons when work needs more attention. There are seasons when your health has to come first. At other times, family responsibilities increase or a relationship requires more care. There may also be seasons when survival, recovery, or emotional healing take up more space than visible achievements. The problem begins when you compare what you can do in one season with what you managed in another. Perhaps last year, you had the energy to exercise 4 times a week, cook every evening, and work on your business at the weekend. This year, your responsibility may be different. Your body may be different. Your emotional capacity may be different. I've definitely had that because last year I was, very active. And then this year it's been really about, after my operation, just recovery. A plan that worked in a calmer season may become completely unrealistic in a demanding one. This does not mean you have failed. It means your life has changed, so your expectations need to change with it. Amara asks herself, what season am I in right now? She realizes that work is particularly demanding this month and that her mum needs more support than usual. Therefore, this may not be the season to expect herself to make huge progress on her personal project. She does not have to abandon it. Instead, she can create a smaller version. Rather than giving it 2 full evenings each week, she chooses 1 focused hour on Saturday morning. That hour may not be dramatic or produce dramatic progress. However, it keeps her connected to something that matters without requiring a level of capacity she does not currently have. This is where flexible priorities become important. A priority does not have to disappear simply because it cannot be your main focus. You can reduce it, you can pause it, you can maintain it at a smaller level. You can return to it when your season changes. The phrase I want you to remember is, not now does not mean never. You are not giving up because you decide that something cannot receive your full attention this month. You are recognizing that every yes uses time and energy that cannot be used elsewhere. Sometimes, the most responsible decision is choosing what you are not going to prioritize right now. Part 4. Boundaries protect your priorities. Amara's calendar is not only full because of the things she chooses, it's also full because she has difficulty saying no. She is dependable, so people often come to her when they need help. Sometimes she agrees immediately because she does not want to disappoint anyone. Afterwards, she tries to arrange her own plans around the new commitment. Her work gets pushed later. Her rest disappears. The personal project moves again. She tells herself she's being kind. However, kindness that repeatedly requires you to abandon yourself will eventually become resentment. Boundaries are an essential part of time management. You can use every planner and productivity system available, but if other people can continually claim your time without limits, your schedule will remain out of control. A boundary does not mean being cold, selfish, or unavailable. It means recognizing that your time is valuable and finite. You cannot say yes to everything without quietly saying no to something else. When Amara agrees to another request, she may be saying no to sleep, exercise, focused work, or the evening she needed to recover. The cost is still there, even when nobody else sees it. Before agreeing to something, pause and ask, what will this yes require me to move, reduce, or give up? That question helps you see the full cost of the commitment. You may still decide to say yes. However, it becomes a conscious choice rather than an automatic reaction. Amara begins using simple responses such as, I cannot commit to that this week. I can help for 30 minutes, but I cannot take on the whole task. I need to check my calendar before I say yes. I'm not available that evening, but I can do the next week. I would love to support you, but I do not have the capacity right now. These responses may feel uncomfortable at first. When you're used to being a dependable person, setting a boundary can feel as though you're letting somebody down. However, being dependable does not mean being endlessly available. You're allowed to protect your time for your health, your goals, and your own life. Some boundaries also need to be set with yourself. You may need to stop adding tasks to the week simply because there's an empty square in the planner. You may need to avoid agreeing that everything is urgent. You may also need a boundary around how late you work, how often you check messages, or how much of your weekend becomes a recovery service for an overloaded week. Boundaries create the space where priorities can actually happen. Without them, your calendar may be organised around whoever asks the loudest. Part 5. Leaving breathing room. By the middle of the week, Amara's original plan begins to collapse because it has no breathing room. Every hour has a purpose, every evening has a task, and every delay creates a problem. The week works only if nothing unexpected happens, but life is full of unexpected things. A meeting runs over, the train is delayed, somebody becomes unwell, an urgent email arrives, your energy drops. The task takes twice as long as you expected. Breathing room is a space that allows your plan to survive real life. It is not wasted time. It is what prevents one small delay from taking down the entire week. Amara starts leaving one evening completely unplanned. At first, she worries she's wasting valuable time. However, that evening becomes a space where she can rest, catch up with something genuinely important, or simply respond to whatever the week has brought. She also stops filling every weekend. Instead of using Saturday and Sunday to complete all the things she could not fit into Monday to Friday, she protects part of the weekend for recovery and enjoyment. Your free time should not become an overflow drawer for the unrealistic schedule. You need space that is not waiting to be claimed by unfinished work. Breathing room can look like leaving 15 minutes between meetings, keeping one evening free each week, planning only one part of the weekend, allowing extra time for travel, scheduling fewer tasks than you believe you could complete, creating a buffer block for unexpected jobs, ending work before the final possible minute. Leaving space may feel uncomfortable if you're used to measuring productivity by how full your calendar looks. However, a full calendar is not always evidence of a full life. Sometimes it's evidence that your life has no room to breathe. You do not have to optimize every hour. Some time can simply exist. You're allowed to have an evening with no outcome. You're allowed to sit, rest, talk, pray, read, watch television, or do something slowly without needing to justify the value of it. Time management should help you experience your life. It should not turn every part of your life into another task to complete. A practical calendar exercise. Before we sum up, I want to give you a practical exercise. Open your calendar and look at the next 7 days. Do not begin by adding more. Instead, begin by noticing what is already there. First, identify your fixed commitments. These might include work, appointments, caring responsibilities, travel, and anything that genuinely cannot move. Next, add the basic things that support you. Include sleep, meals, rest, preparation time, and anything connected to your health. Then look at what space remains. Ask yourself, what do I realistically have the capacity for this week? Which one or two priorities matter most in this season? What can be reduced, postponed, or removed? Where do I need a boundary? Where is the breathing room? Choose one main personal priority for the week. It might be your health, a relationship, a piece of life administration, or progress on a goal. Then choose a minimum version of that priority. For example, if your health is a priority, the minimum version might be one walk, one health appointment, and preparing 2 simple meals. If your personal project is a priority, the minimum version might be one focused hour rather than expecting yourself to work on it every evening. Next, choose one thing you are consciously not prioritizing this week. Write it down. You might say, "This matters, but this does not need my attention this week." Finally, protect one block of breathing room. Do not assign it a task in advance. Allow it to remain available for rest, catch-up time, or whatever the week genuinely needs. Summing up, let us return to Amara. Her life is still full. She still has a demanding job, family responsibilities, relationships, household tasks, and personal goals. However, she no longer assumes that every important thing has to happen in the same week. She starts with real capacity rather than filling every empty space in the calendar. She becomes more honest about how long tasks take and how much energy they require. Amara recognizes the season of life she's in allows some priorities to become smaller for now. She sets boundaries before agreeing to new commitments. Most importantly, she leaves breathing room. Her calendar may look less impressive than before. However, her week begins to feel more manageable. When something unexpected happens, the whole plan does not collapse. When she needs rest, she does not have to steal it from another part of her life. She also stops telling herself that she needs to manage her time better every time she cannot complete an impossible plan. Sometimes the answer is not better time management. Sometimes the answer is fewer priorities. Lovelies, you have 24 hours in a day. No planner, app, or morning routine can create a 25th hour. Your time is limited, and that does not mean you are failing. It means your choices matter. You are allowed to decide that something cannot fit right now. You're allowed to protect your evenings. You are allowed to need recovery time. You are allowed to prioritize one area of your life without making equal progress everywhere else. And you are allowed to build a calendar that supports the person living inside it. This week, I want you to stop asking, how can I fit everything in? Instead, ask, what genuinely matters in this season? And what do I realistically have the capacity to hold? That question may not give you a perfect week. However, it can give you a more honest one. Thank you so much for spending time with me. If today's episode supported you, please follow or subscribe to Cappuccinos and Confidence with Nefe wherever you're listening. Please also share this episode with a woman who is trying to fit too many important things into one very full week. For a broader look at how your time and energy are currently being divided across your life, download my free Wheel of Life worksheet from nefeaguntoya.com. The worksheet will help you reflect on areas such as work, health, relationships, personal goals, finance, and well-being, so you can see where you feel fulfilled and where you may want to change. You can also visit nefeaguntoya.com to read the full transcript and explore more resources around confidence, routines, boundaries, and creating a life that genuinely supports you. Until next time, be honest about your capacity, protect what matters, and leave yourself some room to breathe. You do not need to fit everything in. You need to create space for what matters most. You've got this, and I'm right here with you. With love, Nefe. Bye!